starting with Adventist Health Tillamook. Eric Swanson, are you with us today?
I am. Good morning, Commissioner. Let's start with my schedule for this morning. I canceled my 8:30 call so I can stay on this call if we're going to talk about that report we've been discussing. So I have no rush on my plate this morning.
Thank you.
17 patients in the hospital this morning. It's a busy day here. One brand new baby. We have less than 3 COVID patients admitted. I don't have any surgery cases. I think I saw a list that said 6 today. Ambulance did 4 911 transports yesterday, 2 transfers, and no transports home. The number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 across Oregon today is 100, and there are 16 COVID-19 patients in intensive care unit beds. Only 2 are on ventilators, and that's always good news. 2.5% of all emergency department visits across Oregon yesterday were for COVID-like illnesses. There were 3,990 total emergency department visits in Oregon yesterday. 39 available adult ICU beds out of 342 total. That's 11% availability, and that's a regional number. 113 available adult non-ICU beds out of 1,813. That's 6% availability for our region. So I'm just going to go back on mute, and I'll stay on the call.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that. So, Coastal Caucus. Do we have any Coastal Caucus members with us today? I'm not sure if we might have Senator Anderson or Senator Armitage with us today. Okay, not hearing any of our Coastal Caucus members. As I said, I know there's a Working Lands and Waters special tour today that's happening with our legislators, and I'm going to guess they are all part of that. We will move on to the Tillamook County Community Health Center, and then after we hear their regular report, I will loop back around to conversation that we had talked about having around death rates. So let's hear first from the Community Health Center, and then I will circle back on the other conversation.
Good morning,
Marlene.
Thank you. Ed Colson is participating in an emergency preparedness meeting this morning and some tabletop exercises. So I get to join you and actually present today. So I will just start with really quickly in regard to the COVID-19 related deaths county ranking article that was shared a few weeks ago. Our health department has reviewed the article, and it's just clear to us that unfortunately Tillamook County was significantly impacted by COVID-19 related deaths during that Delta surge. And I know you're going to loop back around to this also, so I'll just really quickly give a few stats on it. 16 COVID-19 related deaths occurred in August, and another 16 occurred in September. So that's nearly half of the pandemic total COVID-19 related deaths for the county. 97% of those COVID-19 related deaths occurred in individuals who had underlying health conditions, and 97% were not vaccinated. Also, 75% were above the age of 60. So it gives you a little bit of information about that particular data around our county deaths. We're going to talk a little bit about the further analysis, but there will be further analysis conducted by the Oregon Health Authority, and there's some recent a recent Senate bill that pertains to that, and I think that's what you're going to refer to, so I won't go into that right now. If people are interested in finding the definition again, we've talked about it many times and read the actual language, but the definition of COVID-19 related deaths can be found under the Oregon Health Authority investigative guidelines. It's very easy. You can even just Google that, or even Google COVID-19 related deaths in Oregon, and you'll be able to find it. It gives a brief description of, actually it doesn't give a brief description, it gives a detailed description of the definition and how the state of Oregon defines it. So for our current data for COVID-19 data, our weekend case count of the 15th through the 17th was 7. Our 7-day case count of 25 and 14-day case count of 23. So obviously there was a little increase in this last 7-day period. Our total cases for April are 41. bringing our total from March 2020 to April 17th, 2022, 3,690 COVID-19 cases and 64 COVID-19 related deaths. We've had a total, and maybe Eric's already spoken to this, so my apologies, but we've had a total COVID-19 related hospitalizations of 143. With regard to our vaccine update, the numbers aren't changing dramatically if people are paying attention to those percentage points each week. Our numbers include 80.9% of those 18 years old and older living in the county. So 80.9% have initiated a COVID-19 vaccination, so they've received at least one dose. 74.7% have completed their primary series, and 44.6% have received that extra dose of a COVID-19 vaccine in addition to completing their primary series. So as you heard the case data earlier, there's been a slight increase in cases over the last 7 days that I mentioned, but hospitalizations remain low, so that's a good thing. This CDC reports that the BA2, a variant of Omicron, is now the dominant COVID-19 variant in the US, which makes up more than 70% of the country's COVID-19 cases. But experts are hopeful that it won't cause a significant surge like the original variant did. So they're monitoring that data to track BA2's behavior and, to be able to anticipate what those, whether there might be a surge. So to help the CDC further assess the impacts on these increased cases, the federal mask mandate for airports, airlines, and transit systems will remain in effect through May 3rd. At least at this point, that's what we know. In addition to BA2 becoming the dominant variant in the US, behaviors such as mask wearing and limited gatherings have decreased. So from OHSU forecast in April 8th, Oregon's showing a sharp decrease in the masking rate, which is, what to be expected with the restrictions being lifted. Time with others indoors has increased as people have, taken up that opportunity to start connecting with friends and families again, going out, going to restaurants, and starting to return to what was, normal pre-COVID behavior. But there still are some simple steps we can take to better protect ourselves and our family in the event of a future surge. So just keep these in mind. You can stay up to date on COVID vaccines and boosters. Keep some high quality masks and those COVID-19 tests and thermometers at home so they're available when you need them in times of high community spread. We can strategize for how we can stay away from others if we get sick and how to make sure we know we can get treatment if we need it. And last but not least, you can stay informed about COVID-19 cases in the community. You don't have to just listen to these reports. You can also go to the Oregon Health Authority's COVID-19 Community Transmission Dashboard. Again, you can go to the OHA's COVID-19 homepage, the CDC COVID-19 Community Level Tool online. You'll be able to find that information also on their CDC's COVID-19 homepage. We keep a tracker on our own page too at tillamookchc.org. There's a lot of stuff to look up, so you can also just Google that information. With regard to COVID-19 testing and vaccinations, just a reminder that, again, the best way to protect yourself from COVID-19, including the variant, is to get those recommended vaccines. People 50 years of old and older, and those 12 years old and older with moderately to severe compromised immune systems can get an additional booster dose 4 months from the date of their first booster dose of either Pfizer, the Janssen, or Moderna vaccines. So just a reminder that you can still receive that additional dose. COVID-19 vaccines are still available at no cost at healthcare offices and pharmacies in the county. If you want to schedule with us, just call the normal number, the 842-3900, and we will schedule you for a vaccine. As COVID-19 response starts to wane, we're excited that we're going to be expanding our hours. We're changing it up a little bit. We'll be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if people need to get in before work or after work or during lunch hours because we stay open, you can also schedule appointments at that time. We really encourage everybody, not just the patients that are patients of our clinic, but throughout the county, that you access your healthcare provider. If you've been postponing care, please make those appointments. It's really important to see on top of your health screening. We don't want to see more risks for other chronic diseases increase while we're trying to protect ourselves from COVID-19. So make those appointments and health screenings and try to get back on your regular schedule if you varied from it during the pandemic. Remember also in healthcare facilities to bring your mask to an appointment. It's still required to protect both the employees and the visitors. So keep that in mind, and please take it easy on the staff. I know it's frustrating when you don't have to wear a mask elsewhere. In our clinics, we continue to offer COVID-19 testing and provide counseling and treatment options for those who test positive. They also do that at Adventist Health and at Reinhardt Clinic, North County. I'll let Gail speak to that. There's still the oral antiviral oral medications, but again, they need to be initiated early, so contact your healthcare provider. Also, the Oregon Health Authority continues to staff their COVID-19 case support line, so it's available for people to call to report a positive result. If you would like to have answer any questions as well, they can receive information on isolation guidelines and support with isolation through that number at Oregon Health Authority. If you have or continue to have concerns about COVID-19, need additional support, you can also call our public health nurse line, which hopefully people have become familiar with, 842-3940, and we will call you back definitely within 24 hours, if not sooner. No, that's another long report. Appreciate you letting me share all that detailed information. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Marlene. We appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and use this opportunity to circle back to the question that was being asked. It was asked by Representative Gomberg a couple of weeks ago, and he had read a report that was comparing death rates at counties across the state of Oregon. And specifically, his question was, why did Tillamook have a higher death rate than the counties on either side of us? Because it would seem that we had similar populations and so forth. And so I had the opportunity to kind of talk with both Marlene and Eric a little bit about this and what information they could bring to the table. And both indicated that really this is a conversation that requires some really intense epidemiological research type of activities. So I appreciate the information that Marlene brought forward that just kind of gave us the information we do have around deaths in our county and what we know about them on a level that doesn't take it down to the individual and start dissecting and really trying to dig into why did people die here versus dying somewhere else. That's a really intense research project. And as Marlene said, OHA will be doing a COVID after action report as is required by Senate Bill 1544. So as we went through this last short legislative session, there was the recognition that we would all like to know with this COVID response, what worked really well, what didn't work really well, where was the most success seen, where were the greatest challenges seen, was there a difference between urban and rural, was there a difference between north and south or east and west, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that can be dug into in relation to COVID outcomes across the state. But again, in talking with Marlene and Eric, it just really became clear that that was a level of detail that we're just really not, I'm going to say prepared or set up to do. We are not there goes that word, epidemiological experts. And that's what it will take to do that kind of an analysis. So I know that we're all curious. We'd all like to know, how we could do better in Tillamook, how we could not have a higher death rate. And I think that that's something we'll definitely be extracting from the report from OHA. So Eric, I am going to, since you took the time to make sure you could be here, I am going to circle back to you and ask if there's any additional information that you would like to share from the Adventist health side of things that relates to this. But we understand completely that you can't talk about individual deaths and that you wouldn't have the information on individual deaths outside of our county. But is there anything else that you have that might shed any light on what was brought forward?
Thanks, Commissioner. I think that what Marlene covered this morning was really spoke to the data in terms of underlying medical conditions, vaccination status, all of those sorts of things. But really, I think it requires a deep dive if you want to compare us to Clatsop or us to Lincoln counties to really look at that. When you have small numerator denominator numbers, you're going to end up with higher percentages. And when we use the data to based on per 100,000 population, the purpose of that is to normalize it for the apples to apples comparison, but it doesn't always paint the total picture. And I think the information that Marlene provided this morning really speaks to, at a very high level, what we were seeing with people that lost their lives to COVID during the last couple of years. So I don't have much to offer, and I don't have much to add because I'm not an epidemiologist either. And I think that your counsel of waiting till we have the OHA report is a good thing, and then we can take a closer look at what happened during the last 2 years with COVID in our community and across Oregon.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. So are there questions for Eric or Marlene based on, what information we do have and what information we can have at this point? Okay, hearing none, I just want to really thank you both for bringing, wait, I have a hand up and I can't see who that is. Hang on just a second.
It's Marlene.
Okay, Marlene, thank you. All I can see is a little yellow hand, please.
Sorry, it doesn't relate to the specific data. I just had a clarification from staff. We were looking at it last night around the federal mask mandate. So if people are following that, I dropped it in the chat for those who are on the call, but a federal court in Florida overruled the mask mandate on Monday evening. So the CDC still recommends it, but no, it's no longer mandated. So it ruled that it's removed the city's federal mask mandate for public transportation, which was previously extended to May 3rd. I mentioned that. Currently, the mask order is no longer in effect. In the meantime, CDC recommends or continues to recommend masking when in closed public transportation settings. So if people are curious, that's also probably something you can just Google. But I wanted to correct that since I said earlier that it was extended through May 3rd, and now it is not. Thanks for letting me out that.
Absolutely, thank you. And I think I meant to mention that too. I got sidetracked. I did see on the news this morning that there are still transit systems in Oregon that are requiring masks. And please remember that while the CDC may have changed that rule based on this court ruling, that is still the opportunity for individual businesses, individual transit systems, et cetera, to set their own rules. So we'd still encourage that, carry a mask with you, be prepared for where you may come to where a mask is required. But I think the big one that came out of that court ruling was that you can now be in airports and fly without a mask. And I did see this morning that all airports at this time in Oregon were making that an option. You may wear a mask or not. So ever-changing rules as we look at what is happening with the pandemic and hopefully roll forward out of it. So thank you, Marlene, for that clarification. Okay, again, I appreciate the conversation that we had this morning, and I'm guessing we'll probably revisit this conversation next week with Representative Gomberg, but I think we are waiting for deeper knowledge, experience, and data to really dig into that question. Okay, with that, I will roll on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail, are you with us this morning?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for these updates. I really do appreciate that. With regard to the vaccines, we are continuing to offer the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, and we're pleased that so many people are scheduling their second booster doses. We also offer the pediatric Pfizers for 5 to 11-year-olds. Please give us a call at 800-368-5182 to schedule your appointments. We do still also have our supply of N95 masks and at-home COVID rapid tests. If you need mask or test, please stop into our front desk at the clinic or the pharmacy, or give us a call if you have transportation barriers. And another announcement, we're pleased to announce that starting on April 28th, the Nia County Student Health and Wellness Center will be open 3 days a week. As you will recall, we are the medical sponsor. We operate and staff the center over at the campus with a primary care provider, medical assistants, and mental health counselors. We're currently open on Tuesday and Wednesdays, and starting on April 28th, we'll be open on Thursdays for counseling services. For more information on the Student Health and Wellness Center, you can visit neacounty.org, Nia County Health, nknhealth.org. And finally, our wellness team is leading a Tillamook County Wellness Walking Group in North County every Tuesday morning at 9. All our North County neighbors are welcome to join us. We will be at a different location each week, so please visit our Facebook page at Reinhardt Clinic to see where we will be walking each Tuesday. And for information on the walking groups across Tillamook County, you can visit TillamookCountyWellness.org. And that's my update for this morning. I'd like to take a moment to thank Leanne Hoffhines for providing the updates while I was traveling these past few weeks. Thank you.
Super. Thank you, Gail. Okay, we will move on to Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioner. This is Frank Hanna Williams, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, behavioral health services for Tillamook County residents. You can reach us at 503-842-8201 for questions about services, questions about appointments, and also if your concern rises to the level of needing to be able to speak with someone on a shorter notice, you can ask the receptionist to please connect you with the person who is the clinician on call. Again, behavioral health services for Tillamook County residents, 503-842-8201. I'll take questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Frank. Are there any questions for Frank this morning? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Brown, are you with us this morning?
I am this morning. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Just a couple of things. Tillamook County Sheriff's Office recently made an arrest in relation to the fatal crash up Kelch's River Road. We have done a press release on it, but for those that may not have Facebook or Instagram to read our press release, I thought I would just touch on that. Alex Hurley of Tillamook was arrested, as I said, in relation to that fatal crash. He was the driver. The charges that he was charged with were DUII, reckless driving, reckless endangering, assault 2, and manslaughter 2. The press release does have a little more information. That is a very basic rundown. We do offer our condolences to the family. This was a very tragic event that easily could have been avoided. And this also is a good time just to talk in general about the importance of being smart and being safe when you're drinking. Drinking and driving is obviously a very dangerous thing to do. You don't ever want to have to deal with some type of a tragedy like this. So please find a designated driver. Don't drink and drive. We've seen all sorts of bad things come from that, and we don't want anybody to have to go through that. So please drink responsibly. Additionally, we had another release. I believe we put it out yesterday about the fire in Bay City. I'm sure that most everybody in Tillamook County is aware of it. If you were anywhere in the area, you certainly saw the flames and you saw the large amount of smoke. The sheriff's office is in an ongoing investigation into that fire. We've had assistance, obviously, from all the bunch of the local fire departments. They're amazing, coming together to put that fire out. I believe we've had OSP fire unit come in to assist in the investigation, and that is ongoing, and we have no results of that at this point. So the last thing I want to talk about is last week, myself and 3 other deputies from the sheriff's office, actually 2 deputies and 1 lieutenant, were able to participate in a Oregon State Sheriff's Association charity golf tournament. That golf tournament and the funds from it go towards the nonprofit organization of Oregon State Sheriff's Association, and support the numerous things that they do to support sheriff's offices. They also have a fallen deputy fund, which helps cover unexpected costs when the worst happens to a deputy. There's a little bit of relief for family in that fallen deputy fund. We did have a really good time. Like I said, it's for a really good event, a really good cause. We didn't do so well as far as our golf game is concerned. We actually finished last, but like I said, it was a good time, and it was for a really good cause. I would also like to say that if you have any interest in joining the Oregon State Sheriff's Organization, it's very reasonably cost or priced. That organization their sole purpose is to assist, support, and fight for the 36 sheriffs in Oregon and their departments in many different ways, whether it be training, as I mentioned, the Fallen Deputy Fund. There's numerous other supports in place. We have a place in the Oregon legislator to kind of help voice law enforcement's opinion or thoughts about things. They are a great organization. They have a website that does explain how membership works. But again, and I would encourage everybody that may have any interest in it in looking at that website and consider joining the Oregon State Sheriff's Association. That's all I have for today, and I can take any questions.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are there any questions for the Sheriff this morning? Okay, well, we appreciate your report. Thank you very much. Moving on to emergency management. Randy, are you with us this morning?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Well, the big news is that ODOT's got the Highway 101 closed again at milepost 47. It's going to be closed till 7 p.m. tonight. They're again trying to get that hillside stabilized by putting up some netting and some other types of material to help stabilize it. So it'll be closed today. They say that if it's not finished today, they are going to go ahead and try to finish on this Thursday. So the detour again is on the Miami-Foley Road. So if you're traveling north or south, just plan accordingly and add a little extra time to your trip. I would definitely check with the Oregon Trip Check website to get any further updates on when that road will open, and then again if it's going to be closed on Thursday. So that's all I've got right now, but if Gordon's here, I'm going to let him explain why the sun is not shining.
Thank you, Randy. Gordon, are you with us?
Oh boy, well, I'm always put on the spot. It's called clouds, Randy, clouds. So good morning, everyone. Well, I continue to work with Randy on emergency management issues, and I continue to watch the very active spring weather that we continue to have. As many of you know, I've worked remotely now from my home in Lebanon, Oregon, and the active weather is obvious as I drive around here looking at the White Cascade Mountains to the east and the White Coast Range Mountains to the west. So it's a pretty sight, but it is interesting. I saw a write-up recently from the National Weather Service that there had been some concerns end of December into January and February that the Oregon snow levels had decreased at the beginning of the year to a level that gave the state some drought concerns again. But the last couple of weeks have raised the snow levels back to much better levels, and many of them are now actually above normal levels. So that's good news going into the summer. Speaking of our weather, our unsettled active weather pattern is going to be with us for at least another week. Today we have a low pressure area that's moving northeastward towards south or central Oregon, and wraparound moisture from that is giving us some more showers moving up from the southwest towards the northeast, and As has been the case lately, some of the cells could be stronger, giving us a brief period of moderate to heavy rain or rain showers with some small hail. And also, we still have that chance of thunderstorms, especially over the coastal waters. So the activity will probably ease up some this evening as the system continues to race to the northeast. But then we have increasing clouds, sorry, Randy, and bringing another chance of rain later tonight into tomorrow morning. The good, bad news with this front is that it had a good shot of enhanced moisture from a typhoon in the western Pacific, so it'll have a decent amount of moisture with it. The good news for us, though, is the main target for this enhanced moisture will be southern and central Oregon. As for us, we may see another inch or so of rain, and even though the local rivers are already increased some from the recent rains, the additional rain will not be giving us any additional flooding concerns. We do transition back to scattered showers with possible thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon that persist through tomorrow night. So it looks like we get a few more scattered showers Thursday, then Friday on through the weekend. We have a weak high pressure ridge trying to build in, so we only have a slight chance of showers. As for the temperatures, because as you know, in the recent past they were quite low at night. We'll now see highs in the low 50s, moving up to the upper 50s by the weekend, and the lows continue to remain in the low 40s for the entire period. So not too bad, other than wet and cloudy. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Gordon. Appreciate that. All right. We will move on to the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Bell, would you like to go ahead and kick us off?
Good morning. Well,
Good morning.
we had last week we had a shortened community updates meeting because we were in budget hearings, and that was fascinating, and 3 days of work, for which I'd like to thank our citizen budget committee members. Bill Bartline, former commissioner. Doug Olson is the chair of the budget committee and has been on it for many years. And Mayor Mike Scott from Tillamook. So thanks very much to our citizen budget committee members who hung in there with us for 3 long days. And I'm going to let Commissioner Scar talk more about the budget hearings if she would like to, because I had a couple other things I wanted to cover. This weekend I went to an open house in Pacific City on Saturday that was the Kiwanda Corridor project open house. And that is a very interesting project, and it was an excellent event. A lot of people came, maybe 150. It was packed, like pre-COVID numbers. It was great to see so many people in one place. And the project, for folks who aren't familiar, is that there's all kinds of things happening in Pacific City, and we're just at the design phase. And so there were design concepts for 5 different things. There were design concepts for a multimodal path, for a bike pedestrian path along Cape Kiwanda Drive, which I think is very exciting. And, that would really change the face of Pacific City in a wonderful way, to be able to have people walking and biking and pushing strollers, etc., along Cape Kiwanda Drive, where now it's very crowded and not safe in the summer months. And so the group saw 3 different design concepts for that, 3 different design concepts for each of the project areas. And those are also how the parking lot at Cape Kiwanda will be changed, and to increase parking and increase the flow of traffic, because the dory fleet still has to go through that parking lot to access the beach where they launch, and also Webb Park Campground, which is a county campground, is looking to relocate to adjacent land. So we looked at different design concepts for that, and for the Jensen property, which is property the county purchased last year, and it's on Cape Kiwanda Drive. So we looked at design concepts for things to build or do with the Jensen property, including the idea of putting a dory museum on the Jensen property and increased public parking there, and nice pedestrian boardwalk over the dune to get to the beach. And the other thing we looked at was the Nestucca Valley Citizens Alliance is a volunteer group that has done tremendous work to build this really cool park in Pacific City, where there's a skate park and they have great plans for it, but they don't have the structure, the organizational structure, or any funding in order to move it forward. So they've done this amazing work for a long period of time. I don't remember exactly how long, but at least 10 years. They've been working on this park, and then they're ready to hand this over now so that it becomes part of the Pacific City development plan. So we looked at several different design concepts for finishing that park, which were very exciting. And so it was a terrific community event. It was terrific way to engage with the community and explain these concepts to the community and ask people if they have feedback, if they have ideas or concerns. And so there's a survey. And I mention this now because the survey is still available online. People can go online to tillamookcoast.com, and there's a couple, then South County and then Kiwanda Corridor, and to get to the survey. And that survey will be online until the 25th. So if there's anybody who lives in South County who's interested in taking that survey, it's live until the 25th. I thought it was just a excuse me, it was a wonderful event, and I thank Rachel Haggerty, who's our chief of staff. She's the project manager for the Kiwanda Corridor project, and it was just very, very well done. And it's a great example of uses of TLT funds, because all of what I just described will be paid for not by your taxpayer dollars. It'll be paid for by TLT funds, which is transient lodging tax. So when visitors come and spend the night here, they pay a tax on their stay, and we're able to invest some of that money back into the community. And so it's an ideal use of those funds. And additionally, we have last year, I think the year before, we initiated day use parking fees in Pacific City and elsewhere, but the ones that are in Pacific City will also go to help pay for this project. And there are grants and stuff available to pay for this project, and it'll happen over a period of time. You know, it's not all going to happen at once, but it's a great vision, and it's a great use of those funds that are generated by the visitors who come here. So I'm super excited for the future of Pacific City. And on the same day, I went from that event to a memorial service for Dale Buck. I wanted to talk about that for a minute. Dale was an icon in the ag community. He was the president of Farm Bureau for a long time. He was just a leader and a kind person. I met Dale when I volunteered for the Tillamook County booth at the Oregon State Fair, because he and his wife Jackie wonderful memorial that was at Bethel Baptist Church, which was Dale and Jackie's church, and it was completely packed. There were all kinds of people there, including folks I know from Farm Bureau, and Representative Weber was there, and our former Senator Johnson was there, and she gave an inspired eulogy about Dale. She really loved Dale and worked closely with him for a long time. Former Commissioner Labhart and his wife Melanie were there, and it was great to see them. And even former Representative Debbie Boone was there, and so it was a terrific memorial. It was a wonderful tribute to an extraordinary person, and I offer again my condolences to the Buck family, and I hope they felt loved and supported by the community, because that was really loud and clear to me. So I think that's all I have this morning. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell. Any other questions for Commissioner Bell? Okay, hearing none, I will give a quick update on the budget. As Commissioner Bell suggested, I looked to see if we had our treasurer, Sean Blanchard, with us today. I did not see her. If you are here, Sean, and would like to jump into a budget update, I'd be happy to hand that over to you. Okay, not hearing her chime in. If you are unmuting, just shout over me and I'll stop and let you take over. We did have our budget hearings last week. It was 3 days of a lot of numbers flying through the air, but it is a good public process around our budget. We did hear from all of our department heads, as well as some of our partners, such as the County Fair, the Pioneer Museum, the Economic Development Council, Futures Council. These are all organizations that also receive money through our budget process. So it was an opportunity for the budget committee, which Mary Faith already let you know who the non-commissioned members are, and I do thank them for their service as well. It was an opportunity for all of us to look at what each department was asking for in their budget, to assess any changes that they might have in their budget, as well as to just look at where they needed additional capital items, all of that. So we went through those pieces, came out with sort of where were we, how much more money had been asked for than was asked for in the prior year, as well as how much more money had been asked for than what we expected to receive in revenues. And I think there were a couple of themes that came out through this budget hearing. The most crucial one was staffing. The county as an employer, just like the majority of other employers in Tillamook County, is really struggling to fill our positions. And that is a combination of the wages that we offer, the availability of housing. It's a very complicated process, right? That's what everyone is experiencing in this county. Help wanted signs are everywhere, and the county is no different. So as we assessed this budget, we really looked at, what positions were being asked for, what positions were filled. Some of the guidance that we gave to the treasurer was to really look at that to see if we can help balance our budget by having a realistic expectation of the number of employees that we will have for the coming year. There will still be, I think, things that were asked for in the budget that probably will not be awarded to departments as spending authority, simply because it would push us over the revenue we expect to have for the year. So the first theme was staffing. The second theme was, where will the county be in 1, 2, 3, 4 years in terms of the increase in costs that I know that everyone listening to this call is experiencing with the rising costs and inflation. The county is experiencing that as well. This year will be a challenge as we look at fuels and lubricants. That's one of the huge areas where we expected costs to go up significantly, and of course everything with inflation. And so as we look at that, knowing that our revenues, which are largely based on the taxes we collect and the timber revenue that comes to the county, those pieces are not likely to rise at the same rate as what inflation is rising. So it's going to put us in a tighter and tighter pinch going into the future. So I really encourage anyone who is interested in the county budget, wants to know specifics related to any particular department, to reach out to the treasurer. You can ask questions of her, reach out to commissioners. We'd be happy to answer questions for you. We really would like the public to understand the county budget, and it is complicated, but it's important for the county individuals here to understand when you feel that you are struggling perhaps to receive the service that you're looking for from the county, to understand the position that we are in financially and from a staffing perspective. So the budget is not yet complete. The treasurer took guidance from the budget committee at these hearings, and she will come back to us with what she believes is the best way to balance the budget. And it looks to me, I was looking through my calendar, I believe that next budget hearing is on May 11th, and it actually occurs inside the Board of Commissioners meeting. So if I'm incorrect, I'm sure the treasurer will get me the corrected one, but that was the one I found on my calendar. It's at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Sorry, not p.m. on May the 11th, and that's where I believe she will present to us her balanced budget with the cuts that she believes need to happen to balance that budget. So again, a good process to go through, lots to learn and understand, and I do hope that anyone who has questions will reach out. A couple other things I wanted to highlight. We have spoken on many calls as well as in our meetings about this being Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I want to let people know or remind people that on Wednesday, April 20th at 1 p.m., Tides of Change will be having their Human Ribbon event. This is an opportunity to show your support of survivors, and what they did last year and will do again, and we're hoping for a much bigger ribbon this year, is they will have everyone go to the 2nd Street Plaza. They will line you all up in the shape of a ribbon, and then they will use a drone to take a photograph. So it's just a good opportunity this year when we're able to be together to come out together and show our support. So I hope to see everyone there 1 p.m. this Wednesday for the Tides of Change event. The other thing I'm excited to share is that I sit on the Columbia Pacific CCO Board of Directors. Columbia Pacific CCO is the organization here that manages the Oregon Health Plan for members, and they also, as part of their work, invest in our community. And they awarded a grant for a new affordable housing complex that is going into Bayside Gardens. It's called the Bayside Commons. They will have, I believe it's 25 units of affordable housing. The project is in the process of applying for state funding to complete their financing for that. But I was excited to have our Columbia Pacific CCO invest in that housing project for North Tillamook County. So fingers crossed that the state agrees and that will come into being probably in the next 2 years. I know that seems like a long time, but housing is not quick. But we do know we have needs, and that's one of the things that's happening under the surface. With that, I will finish my report, and I will reach out and see if we have Manzanita Mayor Mike Scott with us.
Yes, I'm here this morning. Yeah, that was fun for 3 days last week working on the Tillamook budget. So I got back up here to Manzanita, and yesterday we did a 2-hour pre-budget meeting as we started working on our city budget, so it's definitely budget season. That's all I have this morning. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, moving on to Nehalem. Melissa Thompson-Kiefer, are you with us today?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
I just have 2 things I'd like to share this morning. The first is that the city has been conducting a water rate study. And since our water rates have not increased since 2010, our customers can anticipate an increase in July. And the first public hearing on the water rate change will be held at the May 9th council meeting. Secondly, the Nehalem Planning Commission has been working on a review of a draft of our new development code. They are pausing on that review this month to have a discussion and invite public input on the subject of short-term rentals and accessory dwelling units. Accessory dwelling units are currently permitted in the Nehalem urban growth boundary, but not inside city limits. And short-term rentals are currently allowed without restriction. As we all know, these are really important issues, and so we want to hear input from our residents. The Planning Commission meeting will be held Thursday, April 28th at 6 p.m. This will be a hybrid meeting, and due to our limited capacity at City Hall, we encourage guests to attend by Zoom. Information to access the meeting is available on the city website. And those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate that. I know that accessory dwelling units are one of the potential solutions for just our housing shortage. When we did our housing summit a few years ago, there were 3 things that were recommended that we look at, and accessory dwelling units were one of those. The state of Oregon has been making changes in what is allowed for where accessory dwelling units can go, and one of the things that came out of the legislature a couple of years ago was that ADUs were allowed in urban growth boundaries in counties the size of Tillamook. So I know Melissa just referenced that they were already allowed in the urban growth boundary, and now they're looking at for the city and what those rules will be. So it's a great opportunity to engage in your community and look at how to set that up as a potential solution to assist with our extreme housing shortage. So thank you. Appreciate that, Melissa. Okay, Wheeler. Do we have Mayor Honeycutt with us from Wheeler, or anyone from Wheeler? Okay, hearing no one. How about Rockaway Beach? Mayor Wilson, are you with us? Again, not hearing anyone. How about Garibaldi, Mayor Hall?
Good morning. I have
Good
a couple of things. Yes, as others have mentioned, it's budget season, so the city of Garibaldi will be holding its first budget committee meeting on Monday, April 25th at 9:30 a.m. The public is invited and welcome to come and listen as Garibaldi recovers from years of problems related to its finances. Also, second item is the Garibaldi Fire Department will be holding the first of a number of open houses. That will be on Wednesday, April 27th from noon. Our fire staff wants the public to know and understand that the department has made tremendous progress in terms of getting volunteers and getting equipment in order to be prepared to meet any fire needs within the city of Garibaldi and in Tillamook County. That's all that I have this morning.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Our volunteer fire departments are such a crucial part of our support systems in our rural county. So thank you for that good work. Okay, Bay City, Mayor David McCall, are you with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so as others have said, it is budget season, but I would like to highlight that it is also cleanup season. So as many people probably know, and hopefully a whole lot more will know, this Saturday, the 23rd, is the Solved Beach Cleanup Day. So all along the Oregon coast, there'll be different cleanup events, and the time slot for these cleanup is 1 to 3 in the afternoon. So this Saturday, 1 to 3, please join us in helping clean up Bay City's portion along the bay here. And also this Saturday, from 2 o'clock, we will be having a town hall for our fire levy. That will be at the community hall in Bay City. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, City of Tillamook, City Manager Nathan George, are you with us today?
Good morning, Commissioner. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes, I do have several things I'd like to go over, several updates. Just a reminder that the water rates will increase next month in May. This is the final increase in a series of steps that was approved by City Council several years ago. The increases are needed to fund the services the city provides in supplying potable water to our residents and customers. And please contact the city recorder/utilities department for more information. That does apply to all residential and business, but it does not apply to our water districts, which I will explain here in just a little bit. So getting to the council meeting, I wanted to provide a council meeting update that we had last night, which was the 18th of April. On the work session, we discussed fuel tax. We also discussed transient room tax. We discussed parking solutions for our downtown. We discussed a loan that the city had with TPUD to do undergrounding, and we discussed code updates coming in the future for accessory dwelling units and floodplain. If anybody has questions on those, they can always talk to the city or contact me. Also, we had a proclamation for Public Service Recognition Week, and we're excited to announce that we'll be doing Touch a Truck as we did last year, and this year we have twice as many governmental organizations interested in providing trucks, and we were very, very excited about this. It will again be on Laurel Avenue between the county courthouse and the city, and it will be on Tuesday, May 2nd from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's an excellent time to come out and get to touch a truck, so to speak, fire trucks and public works trucks, and we're going to have we have many state organizations, and even federal Coast Guard will be there, schools, TPUD, all kinds of vehicles, and it's also an opportunity to bring the kids out and just celebrate the work that all of us do as public servants. Also, we had a public hearing, and we had council approved a resolution for a supplemental budget change. We also approved the budget calendar for 2022-2023 and appointed budget committee members. And one of the nice things is we have an opening available in our budget committee, so we ask anyone who's interested to contact the city. We also have, speaking of openings, we also have an opening on our planning commission, and we asked anyone who's interested to contact the city as well. Also, we had the Tillamook Urban Renewal Agency interlocal agreement between the city and Tura was approved. And then we also had a second reading and ordinance and approval to adopt the Tillamook People Utility District franchise agreement. So the agreement has the old one was lapsed, and it was time to renew, so we renewed. We also, the final thing I want to talk about was I have been working with our districts, our water districts that we service, we provide water to. And as many people may know, they are charged an amount above a wholesale rate substantially. And so working with those districts and with the council has approved a request from them and from me to hold off on the rates as we study the issue. So there will not be any water increase in May for all districts that the city provides water to, and there will be correspondence going out to districts to let them know. Also, and again, that is an effort to show community that we want to work together and make things the best for our community, not just individual entities. The city planner position is still open, and we encourage any qualified interested persons to apply online to the city's website or contact the city's HR department. We also have several open technician positions in the Public Works Department. We also ask you to contact the city's HR department or apply online. The Public Works Department has opened up an excavation at the intersection of 6th Street and Laurel Avenue for a water line repair. It is not currently anticipated to affect traffic, but we ask everyone to please be cautious. And the Public Works Department will be working to fill some potholes throughout the city today. Please exercise caution at all times. We also have an Arbor Day celebration. The last 2 meetings ago, the council approved an Arbor Day resolution establishing, again, our city as an Arbor Day month and day. And we'll be having a celebration at 2 p.m. at Goodspeed Park today. If anybody wanted to stop by, they're more than welcome to do so. The Tillamook Police Department would like to share appreciation, thank Sheriff Brown and his team for commitment to transparency and communication with us as they work to slowly reopen more beds in the jail that were not being used during the restrictions placed on jails throughout Oregon the past 2 years by the state. His willingness to provide open lines of communication as our police work collaboratively to ensure that we're taking steps to safeguard the lives and property of all the residents of Tillamook County and our visitors is greatly valued and appreciated. The city also appreciates Commissioner Scar and Judge Hill for taking the lead on the steering committee to provide the SIMS mapping and working with mental health professionals in Tillamook. The next step is that our Tillamook Police Department will take the lead on the CIT, which is Crisis Intervention Training for first responders, medical professionals, and personnel at dispatches for Tillamook County. Also wanted to mention, speaking of dispatchers, the national, and I apologize, I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's a National Week representing all dispatchers throughout our country was last week. And we celebrated with them, and we really appreciate all the work they do. If it wasn't for our dispatchers, it would be difficult to get anything else done. They spend a lot of time working long hours helping us and all citizens. And finally, there is a group of citizens that will have a political rally today starting at 2 p.m. This will include a convoy of trucks circling 3rd Street, Marloff Loop, 12th Street, a little piece of Miller Avenue, 11th Street, and then Pacific Avenue in clockwise manner from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. The city does not endorse this activity. However, law enforcement will be monitoring the roads for safety. We ask all participants and observers to exercise extreme caution and obey all traffic laws. We also want to take a moment to thank the organization, Jesse Burrows and his team, for working with the city to hold their driving portion of the event after the schools are out to allow buses, vehicles, pedestrian traffic to be cleared significantly. The organization had originally requested 3 o'clock, and we asked they move to 4 o'clock. And as we're trying to work with everyone, we appreciate them being willing to work with us. So, Commissioner, that's all I have, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate your report. Okay, I see Doug Olson is with us. Doug, would you like to tell us what's happening in South County?
I will, thank you. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
The only thing I would bring up, well, a couple of things. First of all, Commissioner Bell made reference to a substantially large meeting we had down here last Saturday morning about the Coanda Corridor project. Right now in the summertime, Pacific City is being loved to death. and needs some organization and direction. And I think this is a wonderful start because it will enhance safety and the ability for our friends and visitors to move around a little better and spread out the wealth, so to speak, from Cape Kiwanda down to Bob Straub Park and into the interior of Pacific City. So good things ahead. We all realize it will take some time and considerable funding, but as you mentioned, it's not general fund dollars. It's money from our visitors over a period of time. So that's a good thing. Second thing I would mention is we are on schedule to return to a normal year in terms of Dory Days, Clover's Day, fireworks, and the first event coming up is Reach the Beach, and that will be on the 14th of May, just a few weeks away. That's a Saturday. And what that is, that in past years, about 3,000 bicycle riders find their way to Pacific City from a couple of starting points in Portland, Tualatin, Grand Ronde, and so on. And it's the single largest fundraiser for the American Lung Association of Oregon that they have, and one of the larger ones on the West Coast, actually. This year, instead of 3,000 riders, they're expecting about 1,500 as people ease back into whatever normal is these days. So one big event coming up, and it's been rerouted a little bit to come in through the north side of Pacific City along Thousand Trails, for those of you who are familiar with this part of Tillamook County. Before it sort of clogged up the middle of the city for basically all day, and some of the merchants didn't like that so much, understandably. So the route, when they get into Tillamook County, has changed to come up around Thousand Trails. But in any event, there'll be several thousand people in town the weekend of the 14th. So normal, I hope, is where we end up, and it appears we're headed that way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to add one thing really quickly as Chair's prerogative here. You brought up tourism and short-term rentals have been a very hot topic of conversation across the county, and I just wanted to let folks know that on April 27th at the Commissioners Board meeting, we will be having a presentation from Sarah Absher, our Community Development Director, about our current short-term rental program. She will talk about the numbers of short-term rentals across the county, as well as talk about the progress that is being made by the short-term rental committee that is working on the current ordinance, looking at what changes can and should be made to that ordinance. So I know that there are probably going to be lots of people who'd like to listen in on that, so I wanted to give you a heads up that it will be at the beginning of the Board of Commissioners meeting on Wednesday the 27th. You can find the call-in information for that on the Commissioner's website. So just an FYI there. And with that, I will wrap it up today. I would like to thank KTIL for broadcasting and everyone for attending. And we will adjourn this meeting at 9:03 a.m. Thank you and have a fabulous day.